Oh, morning, everybody. It's actually almost afternoon. Um, Sad news. So, give me a second. I actually need a drink of water because it's been it's been a long morning. Okay, hold on. Ooh, oh, look at that. That's ice cold. Wow. So, Denali, get out of stuff, baby doll. But sad news this morning. At 4 a.m., I woke up to do the next feeding with the kittens and found that Gypsy had passed sometime between 2 and 4 o'clock this morning. 2 o'clock was when I did their last feeding. She ate really well. She was very active. She went potty really well. Just the normal things. And so she had climbed out of the little area where their little heating bottle is, where all the kittens are laying. She had climbed out of that, and she was sitting on the other little external blanket from the little bed for them, and she had passed. And so I checked everybody over, got everybody fed. Everybody looked great, the other 4. So they all looked really good, vigorous eating, very active. Everybody was doing really well. Put everybody back in their little bed. I went ahead and messaged that Gypsy had passed. Wasn't sure what happened. And it does happen with kittens, especially such young kittens. And especially if they've separated from the group, a lot of times that can lead to hypothermia. So she may have passed from hypothermia, we're not sure. And then at 6 o'clock, I got up and I started feeding them their next set of meal. Everybody was vigorous and awake and active. And I went through, got the boys fed, sat the boys back in, grabbed Jinx, started to feed Jinx. And Jinx had like this weird episode. I don't even know what to call it. While she was in the middle of eating, she got to about halfway through her syringe, and her whole body stiffened up and her head went back, and then her mouth came open. Of course, I immediately removed the syringe, started rubbing on her, thinking maybe she might have choked on her milk a little bit. She kind of just went real stiff for a couple of seconds. Then her little paws twitched for a little bit, then she kind of went limp. And I was rubbing on her, and she was making this low whimpering noise. And so I just kept rubbing on her, and I went ahead and messaged again, hey, there's something going on. I'm struggling with Jinx right now. Within minutes, though, she ended up passing. And I went ahead and got out because the other little girl, Hylia, the other little one, Boogie, she hadn't eaten yet. Everybody else had just finished eating. And so I picked up Boogie to get her fed. And she did the exact same thing Jinx had did. She had this weird episode where she stiffened up and stuff. So I ended up finally calling and saying, guys, there's something going on with the kittens. I don't know what's going on. I've never dealt with something like this before. So they came up and got the kittens. The 2 that passed, and then Boogie, who was not in a good state. She was whimpering really low like her sister was, but she was kicking around more. She was still wiggling around, but she was kind of her little jaw was open, and she was acting like she was struggling to breathe. So I assumed that she may have choked on her milk as well, or that they had some kind of episode. Not exactly sure what. They came up and took them to the vet. Boogie did not pass away until just after 9 o'clock, so she lived a couple of, almost 2 hours with whatever happened. The vet thinks, they're not sure yet until they run some more blood work, but she thinks that the girls may have, we're almost certain that Gypsy died of hypothermia because she climbed away from the group, which she always did. Unless you roped her down, she was always moving around the entire bedding. So you couldn't get her to lay still with the group. We think the other 2 girls may have had a problem with blood sugar. And so they may have just not, like, they just weren't handling the formula very well, which can happen with newborn kittens, especially newborns. It's not, you normally don't end up with newborns that you have to hand feed until they're a few days old. Usually something happens with mom. I'm okay right now. I wasn't a while ago. I look like a hot mess because I'd been crying. But the boys are doing really well. The vet said the boys look really good. They're really strong. They're, you know, very vocal when you touch them and pick them up like they've been. But from what she observed with Boogie, showed something neurological had happened. She had all the signs of almost like an instant brain damage. So whatever was going on there, it happened to the well, all three girls passed. I'm almost certain, like I said, that Gypsy's was because she just doesn't stay put. We would have to keep putting her back where the warm bottle was because they're not really good at regulating their body temperature. Like, they just can't. That's why kittens huddle together to keep warm. But Gypsy just refused, which is why she got the name Gypsy. She wouldn't stay put with everybody. And she was always, like, really difficult to get to feed. Like, she never really had a good suction when it came to eating. So it took a little longer to get her fed. Denali, stop it. So right now they're going to stay at the vet for the day, and we'll either have them back here tonight or the vet may keep the boys overnight. But as of right now, both boys look really good. Their blood draws look really good, as far as we know. That's what I've gotten reported so far. They've been there at the vet since about 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning. And like I said, they got there that time, and it's now like 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock. And like I said, Boogie passed away at just after 9. So she struggled for quite a bit. I don't know if the vet was the one that went ahead and humanely euthanized her. As far as I can tell, I think she passed on her own while they were doing everything, trying to figure out a workup and figure out what happened. But what it looks like is that more than likely the girls, 2 of the girls passed from low blood sugar. Denali, no ma'am. So it's just like I couldn't figure out what could have possibly happened with the fact that the boys are so healthy and strong and yet the girls didn't make it. Gypsy I kind of was concerned with anyway, because like I said, we had to keep, even throughout the day, we would have to move her back over to where the water bottle was or the rice bag was, because we actually were using a warm rice bag, which works really well because it holds the heat longer. And then we would cover them, but she would always wiggle her way out and escape out of where they were. And so she was constantly getting away from the group, which wasn't good for her to begin with. Is a really bad sign. If she would have been, even if she would have had mama, if she would have kept wandering from mama that way, she would have died of hypothermia anyway. So she was definitely a wandering kitty. The other 2 girls though, the symptoms they had prior to them passing said that they had a neurological episode, more than likely brought on by not enough, like their blood sugar was low, which can happen. It's hypoglycemia. It can happen in kittens. Even though they were getting formula and whatnot, it's not the same thing as mama's milk. Mama's milk will regulate to what they need, and it's just, I don't know. I'm honestly don't know. But then again, it's part of fostering, and it's part of what happens when there's kittens born and there's no mama. They did try to search around. We for the first 24 hours trying to find a nursing mama cat that they could give the kittens to. But the other factor about these guys is, like the vet said today, these guys are awfully tiny, which indicates that they may also have been born a little too soon. So they may be slightly premature, which could also factor in. What are you crying about? Stop it. There's nothing that you need right now. You don't need that. Don't look at me all crookedy. She's staring at me like, but I want up there. She knows she's not allowed on my bed, so she's sitting there whining at me because she wants up on the bed. But yeah, so I'll definitely keep everybody posted. If you want to follow my Instagram, guys, that's where I've been posting. I did post about the kittens on Instagram. I just am at a loss right now. The boys should be back here either tonight or tomorrow, depending on what the vet decides is best for them. And so, as far as we can tell, the boys are doing great. They're vicious little eaters. They love it. They're very active. Both boys were eating up to 3 full syringes at this point. And growing. You can tell the boys were growing and getting nice round bellies, going to the bathroom really good. The girls were still kind of on the skinnier side, weren't really plumping up. All 3 girls were very hard to get to eat, especially Jinx. Jinx was very, very difficult to get to take food. She was just, it was just hard. Thank you, Benjamin. So like we sat outside after she took the kittens, and we sat and talked, and we said, you know, she said, I know that that's the hardest part about what we do as people who rescue and do fosters, is not every story and not every kitten and every puppy is going to make it. Kittens especially. And the more you foster, the more you will see loss. If you guys have been following us for a while, thank you, Kelly. You guys know that we had a mama cat that died with a kitten in utero, and I had to finish hand raising the last of her litter, which I think we had 6 kittens in that, 5 or 6 kittens in that litter. And her kittens were born with what we call fever coat. If you guys had watched that, so mom was already sick when she gave birth to her kittens, very highly stressed when she had her kittens. Then we had another litter that came in with their mama, and we lost 2 of the kittens to severe respiratory issues, knowing that mama was very sick and had introduced motor oil into their system when she was giving birth. So we lost kittens due to that. So a lot of those things play in. These kittens were born in a music studio. Like, they were found over at the Lucky 98 radio station, which is an environment that's not always going to be the friendliest to an animal. So there's lots of wires, there's lots of greases, there's lots of things. So we don't know, just like the lady from Saints told me today, she said, we don't know what their prior situation was or what mama's prior situation was. So taking in kittens that are clearly very young, a piece of information I learned today was that they still had their placentas attached. So mama delivered them quickly and then hightailed it out of there. So not exactly sure what happened there, but the kittens didn't have the best start to begin with, and they look awfully tiny. So we should see the boys again later on today or tomorrow, and hopefully these 2 little ones with, you know, top care like we've been doing with them, we'll be able to get them thriving and ready for adoption. We already know that Stevie has probably got adopted. He's probably going to be going to the lady that was the first one that had them with them. But because of what she does throughout the day, she doesn't have the time to sit and feed them all day. So that's the reason why I'm fostering and not them. She had them for the first 24 hours. They were trying to find someone with a nursing cat, and that didn't work out. And the babies needed care immediately. So yeah, you guys, I'm at a loss, because it's like when you hand raise and hand feed babies, and you guys have watched, we've hand fed puppies, we've bottle fed kittens, we've got Mocus. She's our little, you know, little butthead that we've kept, and she's here, and she is the strangest of cats, we'll put it that way. And then, of course, as you guys know, we raised Maui and Hercules and Elsa, and they went off to great homes. By the way, I have not updated you guys on Maui. He's doing fantastic. His human that he attached to just loves him dearly, and he is doing great. He even won a a Pup of the Year award through a site that she registered him on. So he's doing fantastic. But like I said, when we do this, I've had kittens pass away before. We've even had puppies that have passed. But when you have a group of them pass all within a few hours of each other, that's scary, and it makes you concerned for the rest of the litter, which is the reason why they're at the vet. Because we called the regular vet that Saint works with, and they were like, there's nothing we can do for them. They're so young. Whatever she's doing with them now, keeping them warm and feeding them, is pretty much all that's going to be able to be done. And so she was like, but we want to find out what may be causing it, because maybe we can curb it. But they were like, no, there's nothing we can do. So she called 4 other vets and finally got the one that took the kittens, that were like, we're really busy and whatnot, but we will definitely take a look at them. And they got there and they saw that Boogie was in a really bad state, so they immediately took the kittens back, which we didn't think they were going to do. But Boogie definitely didn't make it. So I didn't even think she was going to make it from here to the vet, because it's an almost 45-minute drive. But she made it there. Still alive, still whimpering, but she didn't make it after that. So, but yeah, my heart breaks for them. And I know it's really dark in here, but we kind of have to have it dark in here to keep it nice and cool in here. Denali, what are you doing? She's having a fit, you guys. So yeah, so I've got everything else all cleaned up, ready to go for them again, because every day I make sure everything of theirs is washed. We have wipes and stuff like that for cleaning their bottoms and keeping their fur clean, because they are babies and they go potty on themselves and whatnot. But yeah, they've been doing great, so I don't know, other than speculation so far from the vet of what they think may have happened. We're gonna wait for all the blood work to come back. No, Dan, leave her alone. And you guys are fantastic. Just pray that the boys are going to come around and be nice and healthy and grow nice and strong. So that's kind of the goal. Right now I'm kind of just like twiddling my thumbs because they're not here right now, and I'm anxious to get them back here so we can get them, you know, cozy and fed. And I know their little personalities already. We've had them for 2 days here, and they have such big personalities, especially both boys. Stevie definitely has got a heck of a personality. Rigby is definitely starting to show like he is very independent, so to speak. So he's the one that when you pick him up, he'll scream at you and get mad at you, and then when you give him his food, he's like, oh, thanks. But and then you've got Stevie, he doesn't really scream at you when you pick him up, but when you get him, he knows that you're the one that has the food, so he immediately starts trying to suck on your fingers and your hands. He's very food driven, so we're just gonna wait and see, you guys. We're gonna wait and see. But yeah, really sad that we lost 3 of them today. So you guys are amazing, and I'll talk to you guys later.